finding the why and how people buy. I've seen that, I see it on your website. I've seen, a couple other podcasts, some things about that. Would you mind talking a little bit about that this morning?
Don't mind talking about it at all, Crispin. Why not? That's why I'm here. Back, I don't know what year it was, Crispin, but I think it was like 2005 or 6. I'm on my way to Salt Lake City, Utah. I go to the bookstore because I'm bored at the airport. I see this book by Dr. Robert Cialdini called Influence, right? I go, what is this? I keep seeing this book. Let me just finally read it. So I read the book Influence, and it really looked at how, how do you influence people, indirectly? And there's 6 levers or 6 mechanisms in there. And I remember reading that book. It was really about psychology, decision-making process, a lot of kind of behavioral economics as well. Mm-hmm. And I said, what if I took that and applied it to sales? And that's why I came up, obviously, with the sales influence. Defining the why and how people buy is really understanding how do people make a buying decision. Now, around that time, I started realizing that even before books like The Challenger came out, which talked about the buyers are 57% into the buyer journey, all these things about we now know that the buyer is more informed. Before that was even popular, I already knew because the internet had shifted everything. Pre-internet, we the salespeople had all the information. Right. Post-internet, now the buyers have the information, so they're not easily swayed by your opinion because they have their own. And so that was really the foundation of sales influence.
When you talk about sales influence and staying in control of your prospects, staying in control of the selling event, what does that look like in your world, Victor?
Are you saying staying in control?
Yeah.
I don't think you are in control.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you think about it today, there was a study that was done by Google that says customers look for 10 sources of information before they actually reach out and contact you, right? So think about it. That number's probably bigger than that. So if the customer's now on their own value journey, right? Mm-hmm. And this has been the conflict that we've been having over the last 5-10 years. The debate is that we have a seller's process, how we want to sell, but the buyer has their own journey, and never the twain shall meet, right? 2 ships passing in the night. And so what happens is that you have to figure out marketing. To me, let me just take a step back. I used to laugh at marketing, like, ha, 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 you guys don't do anything. I remember that John Wanamaker line, 50% of my marketing works. I just don't know which 50%, right? Because marketing words, they just create cheesy material, blah, blah, blah. That was perception of marketing. But now I have to admit, I have to tap out, so to speak, and say that marketing is now in the pole position of sales. Now I say that's almost like blasphemy, probably even on this podcast, right?
Right.
But think about it. Before customers reach out, they're finding content online, and who's putting that content out there? Mostly marketing. Mm-hmm. And so that's changed. The rise of the sales brand ambassador is something interesting that most people don't talk about, which is I'm not only looking at the company, but maybe I can connect with subject matter experts online who've posted great information, talk about a specific topic. And now I said, wait a minute, who does this guy work for? Okay, maybe I want to talk to this person. So you're seeing marketing be very powerful, the rise of the sales brand ambassador. So there is no staying in control. It's almost like just trying to figure out where they're surfing and you're just trying to meet them there.
And then how about when you're actually engaging with the prospect? So now you've got a prospect that you're talking with, you're actually engaging with them. They're asking you about, hey, Victor, you offer, X service, Y service, Z service. What happens in, what are the most interesting, conversations? How do you make that happen as you're trying to influence that sale from A to Z?
Okay, so let's really walk through this, right? So the customer has gone on a buyer journey. Now we finally connected. Let's say it's an inbound call, right? And again, we can do outbound, but we know the numbers are just fatal in outbound. Now, before people scream at me on this on the live show, are you saying outbound's not important? That's not what I said.
All right,
I'm just saying most of the stuff is going to be inbound because guess what? Customers are finding us. And when they're finding us for the first time, Crispin, one of the first questions I like to ask is, how much research have you done? Like, what do you know? I need to understand the level of where this customer's at. And I like to categorize them in 3 very complicated categories. Here they are, 3 complicated categories. Some, none, ton, right? Ooh. So let's go through it. When I ask them, how much research have you done? They go, none. That's not good, right? That means I'm getting them cold. That means that there's some education that has to go on. If they've done some research, I'm like, okay, so let's dig into what you've learned so far, and then I can just go from there. Because I'm being very respectful. You've done some research. You know things already. I don't want to repeat myself. Tell me what you found. If they've done a ton of research, love these people. I want to hug them and kiss them virtually because if they've done a ton of research, they basically pre-qualified themselves. They've done the research. They know the price points. They know what they're looking for. Their preferences have been formed in terms of what they want, and they still reached out to talk to me. That means I love that type. So usually when they've done a ton of research, I love them. If they've done no research, I hate them. If they're somewhere in the middle, they've done some, my job is to move them towards knowing more. So it's almost like a Gaussian distribution. 20, 60, 20 is what you're going to get. And 20% know everything, 20% know nothing, but the 60% in the middle, that movable middle, is what we got to work with. But again, I meet them where they're at. What do you know? How much do you know? And then now my job is to position myself as a subject matter expert to give them the guidance that they need.
Right. I mean, that's great. That is just great. I love it.